Let's listen to President Trump today saying various things at his press conference that really annoyed a lot of people, starting with number 11, please.
It's all under investigation.
I understand that. That's why I'm trying to figure out how you can come to the conclusion right now that diversity had something to do with this crash.
Because I have common sense, okay? And unfortunately, a lot of people don't. We want brilliant people doing this. This is a major chess game at the highest level. When you have 60 planes coming in during a short period of time, and they're all coming in different directions, and you're dealing with very high-level computer work and very complex computers. And one of the other things I will tell you is that the systems that were built, I was going to rebuild the entire system, and then we had an election that didn't turn out the way it should have. But they didn't build the systems properly. They spent a lot of money renovating a system, spending much more money than they would have spent if they bought a new system for air traffic controllers, meaning the computerized systems. There are certain companies that do a very good job. They didn't use those companies. They used companies that should not have been doing it. No, I think it's very important to understand that for some jobs, and not only this, but air traffic controllers, they have to be at the highest level of genius. Okay.
Let's play another one. Again, this is a tone that a lot of people are objecting to. 13, please.
Which is overseen by Secretary Pete Buttigieg. A real winner. That guy's a real winner. Do you know how badly everything's run since he's run this Department of Transportation? He's a disaster. He was a disaster as a mayor. He ran his city into the ground, and he's a disaster now. He's just got a good line of bullshit.
Okay. And now, lastly, President Trump sparring with two White House reporters, Caitlin Collins of CNN, Peter Alexander of NBC, in a way that he did not do yesterday and is very familiar to many of you. Please play number 14.
Yet know the names of the 67 people who were killed, and you are blaming Democrats and DEI policies and air traffic control and seemingly the member of the U.S. military who was flying that Black Hawk helicopter. Don't you think you're getting ahead of the investigation right now?
No, I don't think so at all. I don't think with the names of the people, you mean the names of the people that are on the plane, you think that's going to make a difference? They are a group of people that have lost their lives. If you want a list of the names, we can give you that. We'll be giving that very soon. We're in coordination with American Airlines. We're in coordination very strongly, obviously, with the military. But I think that's not a very smart question. I'm surprised coming from you.
I want to ask you about the ice skaters in a moment because the U.S. ice skating community was affected. But first, if I can, the cited FAA text that you read is real. But the implication that this policy is new or that it stems from efforts that began under President Biden or the Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg is demonstrably false. It's been on the FAA's website.
That, you?
No, it's on the website, the FAA's website. It was there in 2013. It was there for the entirety.
What I read.
It was there for the entirety of your administration too. So my question is, why didn't you change the policy during your first administration?
I did change it. I changed the Obama policy, and we had a very good policy. And then Biden came in and he changed it. And then when I came in 3 days ago, I signed a new order bringing it to the highest level of intelligence. Okay.
It was on the website.
Please. Quiet.
So I heard from many people today, including Ray, who said this is a reversion to the Donald Trump we saw during the COVID crisis. It's a reversion to the very personality that many Americans rejected. It's a reversion to something that is improper, unseemly, unpresidential, and that any momentum Donald Trump had is now gone. I also heard from people who said, get over it. And then I saw on social media something that sums up the get over it position. Number 2, please. It's a tweet from someone. I don't know who this person is, but their language summarized quite well the opposing argument. Okay? I'm sorry, not the opposing argument. This is summarized as the critical argument. Even if you agree with everything Trump said, to use the tragedy to make these points before we even know what happened, smearing everybody involved before we know whose fault it is objectively disgraceful. Ironically, you'd have to be extremely dumb to do that. I will say again, Donald Trump's opponents, Donald Trump's critics make a mistake when they say he's dumb, let alone extremely dumb. He is not. But that characterization of what he said in the clips we just showed and some other comments along those lines that it's disgraceful is something that I heard many times today, and not just denouncing it, but saying it would have a material impact on his capacity to govern successfully and to not break the momentum that he clearly had in the first 10 days. So, Ray, if you could start us out and just tell folks what you think of Donald Trump, what he said today, and what impact you think it will have.
First, I don't think it was dumb, because Trump is far from dumb. I'm going to point out two things he did that shows how calculated he is, calculated like a fox. First thing is by using this tragedy to invoke DEI. I'm sure that he knew that that would result in outrage, and it's the kind of thing that he relishes. Then he went ahead and who did he name in his little White House briefing? Pete Buttigieg. Why did he do that? Because Buttigieg is just a potential candidate in 2028. And then thirdly, he went after Biden in a White House release that just came out, in which he says he wants to examine hiring over the last 4 years, not since 2010 when he claimed that all of this started, but the last 4 years. And I came across some data today that shows since 2010 there's been very little change in the racial and gender demographic of air traffic controllers. Do I think that this was dumb? I think what he said was dumb. I think it was misguided at best and insensitive at worst. But I don't think it's going to hurt him at all personally. I do think it's going to start putting Republicans on the defensive, who are now going to have to answer for these outbursts that take away from what we should be focusing on, which is problems at the FAA.